All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, Emory Hunt, CBS Sports, and it's great to have Emory on. A, because he knows a lot about a lot, but B, it means football is here, so we're fired up. Emory, how you doing, man?
Doing fine, man. I appreciate you bringing me on the show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Want to hit as much as we can in a little amount of time, and let's start with East Carolina. Get your thoughts on the Pirates coming in. Blake Harrell retained, took over as interim last year, and the win started in conjunction with that. A change at quarterback, Caden Hauser, and he is back as well as the starting quarterback. So you got some continuity there. Emory, John David Baker back year two, offensive coordinator, some speed on the outside. Offense, we're excited about. Defense, we got question marks. How about you? What do you think about the Pirates heading into 2025?
Well, you like how they ended last season. You talked about the wins, and you hope that kind of carries over into this upcoming year. And it wasn't just like a flash in the pan. But when you have a quarterback and coach continuity, it kind of gives you some credence to thinking that this could be more of the same coming forward. You're right. Defense lost a lot. Offense, I'm looking at the backfield. I know they still have some guys there, but they lost two big backs, in my opinion. So I'm looking at, okay, how can they piece around the departures in conjunction with everyone around them in the conference getting better.
Yeah, and I know you were a Rajay Harris fan, just like we are. We talk to him every week. He'll be on today's show, in fact, and that's a void in the backfield. But feel like they've done, bringing in London Montgomery. He played some last year, and Parker Jenkins from Houston, a transfer. Hoping we have enough in that backfield for ECU. I think we'll see some shootouts this year, Emory, and how about the rest of the American? Where does ECU fit in? Who do you have at the top, and where do you see the Pirates fitting into the American Conference?
I mean, I think they're middle of the pack right now. I'm still a big Navy midshipman fan. I feel like that team, along with Blake Horvath, the quarterback, and his ability to throw the football, combined with what they do in the option game, is going to be difficult for a lot of teams. I think Navy could honestly flirt with an undefeated season. Then you have Tulane that's still going to be a good team, even though they've replaced Micaiah Hughes because he transferred out, but they bring in Jake Retzlaff, who comes in from BYU. Now, if he's going to start right away, but I still trust the things that they're building down there in New Orleans. So I would say middle of the pack. You know, ECU is right there. Big game for me is their first game against NC State. I think that's an opportunity for them to win one. If they can get that game, then we may see them go on a little run before they face Army.
Emory Hunt joining us. Emory, does the playoff team come from the American this year? Is it Boise again, or is it somebody else? Who's your pick to make the playoff from that G5 spot?
I hate that there's only one spot that they get. So we need all of these G5 conferences to be really good this year to push two teams in. I still think Navy. All depends on how they do against Notre Dame. We saw them go into that ball game looking really good, and then he got smashed by Notre Dame. And so that can't happen if they're trying to make it in. Louisiana looks really good coming out the Sun Belt. They could flirt with a one loss. They got to play Missouri. But everywhere else, I think they got a chance to win all the rest of their games. Boise still looks good in the Mountain West. I would even throw Army in there, even though they're replacing some guys. But the fact that Army still plays very good defense is going to give them a shot. So I would probably lean more toward Navy as opposed to Louisiana, based on how the rest of the Sun Belt looks. It's just them and James Madison this year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In the Mountain West, obviously the media is already fixated and wants Boise in, so that way you don't have to think about the other G5 programs. They're going to try to rubber stamp Boise in this thing. But when you think about the rest of the Mountain West, you got UNLV could still surprise, even though they replaced, even though they got Dan Mullen there. We know he's going to run the football. They still have some talent there at UNLV. So I'll be interested to see how it plays out. I'm more excited about a G5, honestly, because that's college football in its purest form. But I know I'm just a minority in doing that.
Well, that's why we appreciate you too, Emory. You covered all, including the FCS. And real quick, I always ask you about ECU's FCS opponent before every season. Does Campbell offer any kind of threat to ECU week two?
It's different, man. Campbell is different. They're usually solid on both sides of the line of scrimmage, but now they're kind of going through that transition. They're in the CAA now, so the recruiting is going to ramp up. I don't think they'll be able to handle the point of attack play, which is really the difference between FCS and also G5 and Power Five or whatever. But right now, I don't think Campbell should be as big of a problem because replacing quarterbacks, offensive line just doesn't match up well. So I'm not as high on them in this ballgame as I would have been years ago when we talked about North Carolina A&T as a potential trap game.
Emory, doesn't appear to be any juggernauts here in the state of North Carolina when it comes to FBS schools. There is a monster headline, of course, with Bill Belichick. But if I ask you, who is the best team in the state of North Carolina FBS wise this year? Is it the guys in Chapel Hill, or do you go elsewhere?
Uh, That's tough, man. I
Uh,
think they all. I think everyone in the state is all. Maybe Duke, to be honest, is the best team in the state of North Carolina based on quarterback play. Mensa, who comes from Tulane, and what they have built over there is fascinating to see. It is showing these other programs around the country, these high academic programs, Stanford, Tulane, Northwestern. It could be done. Rice, you know what I'm saying? So I like Duke, to be honest. I think with Bill Belichick is going to be interesting to watch because we know they'll be disciplined. We know schematically they'll be where they need to be. But in college, more so than the NFL, where everybody's kind of equal, give or take a few spots talent wise, college, you really need some Jimmys and Joes. You could only do so much schematically. You could only do so much with discipline. Yeah, I think the floor with that approach is probably 7 games. But when you're thinking about cracking the playoffs, you need some playmakers, and I don't know if they have that right now. So I would go Duke because I feel like UNC, NC State, East Carolina, kind of all on the same plane. Charlotte is a little bit under those guys, but those three right there on what that's I-40, like you know what I'm saying, like those three teams are kind of like lockstep.
Yeah. Emory Hunt at F Ball Game Plan joining us today on Pirate Radio Live talking all things college football. We had Phil Steele on the show. He is a Penn State believer. The AP voters are apparently Penn State believers as well, having them at number 2. We talked gambling. Jeff Nadeau, he likes Penn State this year. Are you a James Franklin believer? Is this the year they can maybe get there and win the championship, or are you going elsewhere?
No, I do feel like Penn State has that makeup, especially when you've watched what just happened the last couple of years in the Big Ten. Michigan got over the hump, Ohio State got over the hump. Maybe it's Penn State's turn, and I like how they went out and got some receivers around Drew Aller, Trevor Pena being one of them, talented receiver coming from Syracuse. And their defense just seems to always be good, no matter who they lose, high draft pick, low draft pick. The defense always still seems to be the defense. They got 2 tailbacks, so I feel like they're the most balanced team in the Big Ten, and the schedule sets up nice for them. I do like how they have some home games. Get Oregon at home, and if they go on a run, they have a chance to really build up that momentum. They got to the playoffs last year, got a win, and got a tough loss to Notre Dame. So you got the win and you got the loss in the playoffs, so you have a lot to work with in the offseason. So I kind of like how all of that is swarming around them going into this year, which I think they can get on the other side and be champion.
All right. Emory, I'll ask you a couple of quick hitters here. Who's the second best team in the ACC? Assuming you have Clemson at number 1.
Georgia Tech.
Oh,
Georgia Tech is really good. I actually think Haynes King is the best quarterback in the ACC. I think Georgia Tech can beat Clemson. We go and look at how they played all their games last year. They're tough games. They either won or was right there. They should have beat Georgia, by the way. We know how that went. And they did a great job beating Miami. They were just good last year, and now they expect to win. They were believing them that they could win last year. Now they expect to come in and win. That game, first of all, the game against Colorado is going to be a good one because I think
yeah.
Colorado's upgraded. But this game, the first game against Clemson, is going to be huge, and I think they got a chance to upset them.
Emory, what's the separator between Texas, Georgia, Bama in the SEC? Do you like one of those more than the others?
It's funny to say this, but I trust Arch Manning than I trust Ty Simpson. I like how Gunnar Stockton plays. I think he's a gamer, but Georgia is good on the line of scrimmage. Skill player wise, wait and see. Although they did get Zachariah Branch, but right now I would say Texas, Georgia, then Bama.
Emory, how the hell do you pick a team in the Big 12? Like, who do you trust? Any? Could it be Arizona State again, or it
That,
seems like a crapshoot?
that was easy for me. It was Arizona State. Like you
Okay,
have all that return productivity, a team that went to the playoffs, should have beat Texas, and you add a Kanye Udo who transfers in from Army to replace Cam Scatterbo. And remember, they played in the playoff without Jordan Tyson. Like this team is loaded, and they have
okay.
the coach that has them believing that they can win. They got to the postseason. I think they could flirt with being undefeated. To be honest, I like them to run the table in the Big 12.
All right, not a crapshoot. Sun Devils, it is. Emory, I love talking gambling with you. First of all, we'll start week 0. 5 games coming up this weekend. Anything you really like for week 0?
I like Iowa State on the money line. I know Avery Johnson is super talented, but I could trust the steadiness of Rocco Beck in a week 0 game. And I wouldn't mind laying those 24.5 points if you can find it right now with UNLV over Idaho State. This is not Idaho or Montana State or, even Sac State, even though they're not in the Big Sky anymore. But this is not one of those teams of the upper echelon like Montana or whatnot. Idaho State doesn't have the point of attack play. Dan Mullen wants to come out and make a splash, and it's only 24.5 points. I would lay those points, right now with UNLV.
Week 1 on a Thursday night, East Carolina in Carter Finley Stadium taking on NC State. That line's gone from State 12.5 to around 11.5. The total has gone up 58.5 to 59.5, I believe. Any thoughts on State and ECU? You called it a big game. You got to lean one way or the other.
Probably lean toward the over. What we see in these games, I mean, not over, under, because what we'll see in this game, in these week 0, week 1 games, you have all spring, summer to focus on one opponent. And so those games tend to be close. So therefore, I would say it'll take offenses a little bit to get lathered up on both sides. So I will go under and expect a close game.
People loving the over, other than Holton Ahlers, who played in that game. He told us he likes the under, and Emory Hunt. And I trust you two guys, so might ride with you there. How about, man, so many great matchups week 1, but also, good gamblers like yourself tend to get in the weeds. So anything else you're really high on week 1, Emory?
Louisiana and Rice. I'm going with the Raging Cajuns in that game, laying those points. Also, honestly, I like Oregon State too. Um, I like them in a week 1 game too. I can't remember the matchup. I know they play somebody, but I like them because I believe they're a short dog, if I'm not mistaken. But Malik Murphy transfers from Duke out there, and I think Oregon State is returning a few key players on defense. So I'm taking the Beavers. I can't remember the opponent right now.
Cal, according to producer Jarrett.
Who has lost so many doggone players? Like they lost their quarterback, their running back. It's a shame how bad Cal has, how much talent has left Cal. Ott is in Oklahoma. Mendoza is at Indiana. That's 2 of your key pieces on offense. And so I think Oregon State gets one out there.
Sounds like, and I checked it just to double check. I was like, he's brought up Louisiana a couple times. You're a Raging Cajun, right? Have I ever asked you about your playing career, Emory? I don't know if I have. Tell us about your playing days.
Well, I was injured going into my sophomore season, and that was my career was done.
Yeah.
So it was only that one and done. But I was part of a great staff there that kept me around, kept me involved in a program, and so my time looking back on it now was great. You know what I'm saying? I was fortunate to be where I was. But I was running back, and obviously I always have my affiliation with the Cajuns, man. I went back and spoke to the team. I want to say we were in 2023, which would have been my 24th year since arriving on campus.
Wow.
And my last year was 03. So, 20 years since I left school. So it had been that long. And time flies, man. But I will always be a Raging Cajun, forever indebted to that Raging Cajun program.
ECU and Louisiana met in. It's not really fair. It was like the Louisiana
bowl game, right? Exactly.
And the Cajuns
that
put
was
it
the
on.
First one. That was the first bowl game we had in program history. I know they say the 1970 Grantland Rice Bowl, but in terms of FBS, like known bowl games, major bowl games, That was the first one.
Yeah,
So
y'all
sorry it
y'all
had to
put
be
it on us. Yeah. Emory, did you think back then that you would be doing this today? Like in my opinion,
yes,
you're living.
yes.
So you always wanted to do something like this.
If you go, if you go to the media guide back then, um, you know how they have the bio, it says your birthday, siblings or whatnot, and it says plans after graduation to be a sports analyst or sports broadcaster. I knew what I wanted to do, and so I knew early going in, and it's cool because I'm working for CBS Sports, and I grew up watching CBS Sports a lot because at the time they had the NFC, and so
Yep.
watching my Saints and seeing James Brown and seeing John Madden, Pat Summerall, and
Yeah.
then now years later working under the same network is just surreal. So, but I always knew what I wanted to do, and my teammates tell you, yeah, this all he wanted to do. Like he was always this in commercials, making commercials, but I knew I always wanted to talk ball.
That's awesome, man. Congrats to you, and yeah, love talking football with you. Well, you know what? We got a little bit of time. I like throwing a Commander's question at you. I know. I think you really liked Jaden Daniels last year. You fired me up, and boy, he was awesome. Cannot wait for year two. Bit of a dark cloud on Washington right now with the Terry McLaurin stuff, the Brian Robinson stuff. So I'm a little bit worried. But what do you think about year two of Jaden Daniels and Washington this year?
I think Washington's still going to be in the mix. I like them to get to the postseason because they have the quarterback. The offensive line, I think, will be a lot better. They'll get things squared away with Terry McLaurin. But what I'm really impressed with Washington is how they got better on the defense side of the ball. And you like how the enthusiasm is there on defense. And I noticed this Monday night when they played, right?
Yeah.
Just how instinctively and how smart the defense was in terms of understanding what they see and just reacting on the fly. Like the play before the touchdown, I think it was a third down. They tried to leak the tight end back across the field. You saw the safety recognize that and just made a beeline right there, tackled him, and he was down at like the 1.5 yard line. Then they scored on a tight window, Joe Burrow throw, I believe, on the next play or whatnot, or a run play. But just the fact that they understand what's going on, they're locked in mentally, and so I think defensively is where they take the biggest step forward. But offensively, they'll find productivity because you got the quarterback. They'll get things right with Terry McLaurin. I think it could be addition by subtraction by going in a different direction and running back.
Yeah.
I've always said this. No matter this is the fallacy that people fall in under when they look at um, the a run game and just think it's because of the back and not because of the situation. People thought Gus Edwards was a top 5 back. No, it was because Lamar Jackson was taking away that backside defender. Same thing with Brian Robinson. If you pair a great back with a mobile quarterback, great things happen. Go back and look at Chris Johnson with Vince Young. Go back and look at Michael Vick with Warwick Dunn. Go back and look at Lamar with Henry and Saquon with Hurts. So if they get a game breaker back there, it's going to be a problem.
Emory Hunt joining us. Love talking football with you, man. Could do it for hours, but I know you are up against it, so we'll let you run. We'll do it again down the road, Emory. But tell everybody where they can find you this football season. I know you'll be doing a lot of stuff.
Yep. Follow me on Twitter at FBall Game Plan, and on CBS Sports HQ all throughout the season and CBS Sports Network. So I'll be there doing all kind of ball. Was like NFL, college, CFL, doesn't matter. I cover the full gambit. So catch me on CBS Sports HQ and CBS Sports Network, but also follow me on Twitter at FBall Game Plan.
Emory, appreciate you, man. We'll do it again down the road, bud.
Appreciate your clip. Always a pleasure.